Hi, hello and welcome to Geetha's Cooking. Let's always spice up our life, shall we? Today's recipe is Thakkali Vatha Kuzhambu. What we call it as a spicy tomato tamarind thickened gravy it is. It is very special to me. It's my mother's signature recipe and it's been passed on to me. Let's get into our recipe, shall we? The first process of our recipe is to soak a tamarind for 15 minutes. Tamarind can also be found in a paste form in Indian shops and grocery. I'm using the whole form and I'm going to soak it for about 15 minutes in water. It's time to start our roasting process now. For that, I will need 1 teaspoon of oil, a tablespoon of coriander seed. Roast that little bit and then I will be adding a tablespoon of Channa Dhall to it, followed by half a tablespoon of Urad Dal, 1 teaspoon of Thoor Dhall, and then give it a good fry. And you will then need to add 4 red chillies. Give that also a quick fry. Once that's ready, you add your cumin and your pepper. All of this has to be powdered, so just be gentle. Add some curry leaves as well. And you'll be finishing the process by adding some hing and some turmeric to it before we bring it back to a blender jar. Our finely grounded powder is now ready. Our masala powder is to be added to the gravy. Next step is we are going to start the tempering. So we get the pan on, add about 2 tablespoons of oil. I'm using sesame. You can use any oil you want. And to that, once the oil is heated up, as usual, we just have to wait up, and then once the oil is heated, I add a teaspoon of mustard. Wait for the mustard to crackle. And then we will be adding some fenugreek. Now we add a teaspoon of methi to this. Once the methi is added, make sure you mix it well. Then it will be time to add our pinch of hing as well. Once the hing is added, the flavor will start coming. We will now be ready to add our cloves of garlic. I've got about 10 cloves of garlic here. And you can also add, once the garlic is fried a little bit, you don't have to do too much of it. Just make sure it's a little bit golden and then you'll be ready to add your onion. I've got 1 big Spanish onion here. Spanish onion gives a very nice flavor to this dish. So make sure it is a Spanish onion that you use, or shallots are also very nice. They are called pearl onions. You can either use shallots or pearl onions. Just add a salt to it as well, because it as we know, it just speeds the process a little bit and the flavor is also a little bit more enhanced. Once the salt is added, wait for the whole mixer to turn a bit golden before adding our tomatoes. I've got 3 big Roma tomatoes here. Roma tomatoes gives a nice color and it's got the extra sourness that we need for this dish. So we are adding some Roma tomatoes to this dish, and make sure these tomatoes will have to be really mashed up. So take your time, and I'm adding a little bit more salt. You will notice I'm adding salt in proportions here, and I'm adding a bit more turmeric as well. Turmeric will give a very nice color, so just keep adding little by little. And then once it's all mixed up, now you need to close your lid and make sure it cooks for a bit more, because the consistency should be in a mashed up. So I give it about 5 minutes and then I open and check it to see how our tomatoes are turning up. I think we can go a little bit more, but this is the consistency I was looking for before we start adding our main ingredients. I'm going to close it for 2 minutes. Now in the meantime, what I'm going to do is get the juice out of the tamarind. All you have to do is squeeze it well and then get the juice. You can do it about 2 or 3 times. When you are doing this, you can get about 3 times. Tamarind is very sour, so just be careful. Don't add too much tamarind, it will be very sour. So now we can now go back and check what our tomato is looking like. Yep, that is the correct consistency I was after. So I can add the tamarind juice into the tomato gravy, mix it all well again and give it a really good stir, because tamarind will have a very raw smell. So we need to make sure the raw smell comes out of it as well. I am adding a bit more water to it, because as I said, tamarind can be very sour. I will give about half a cup of water. Once that's done, what I am going to do is add our grounded powdered masala. Remember the one that we earlier powdered? We are going to mix it. I am adding only 3 teaspoons. Do not add everything, because the powder we make gives you about 10 teaspoons. You don't need all of it. Add a little bit more salt. You will notice I am adding a little bit more salt, because this gravy will need some reasonable amount of salt due to all the spices that's in it. Now you can put your lid on and leave it for about good 5 minutes, because the gravy has to mix well and boil really well. The consistency should be very nice and thick. So when you put on the rice, it's not runny or watery. The consistency is in a nice gravy form now. You will have to wait for the oil to come out. That's the indication it's ready. Now it's all ready. The final one I am adding is jaggery. It's optional. I am adding it, but if you don't want it, you don't, but it really does give an extra flavor to this Kuzhambu, the gravy. Now it's all ready. The oil is out, the jaggery is mixed well. It's almost ready to be served. One of the delicious favorite dish for me and my family. We really enjoy eating this dish. This can be served with rice, idlis and dosas. Best with rice. Combination is really amazing with rice. You can have any kind of sauteed vegetables with this Kuzhambu, because it is a really nice flavor. Now the Kuzhambu in itself, you will see it keeps well as well. It keeps for about 3 to 4 days in the fridge, or even if you leave it outside without going in the fridge, it will last for a day or 2. There you are, it's all ready. Enjoy. I'm going to serve this with rice, and I made some carrot sauteed fry. Enjoy it and let me know what you think, guys. Thank you and bye for now.